Bears are back to work, training for round 2 against the Vikings. Cassie Carlson and the Athletics' Dan Weeder talk about Ben Johnson facing the Vikings a second time. And Caleb Williams tells us why he's done such a good job of avoiding sacks this season. Former Notre Damer and NFL linebacker Manti checks in with a player's perspective on Ben Johnson, who has no problem admitting when he's wrong. And Tina Nguyen shares the story of a mother who won the biggest battle of her life and took a victory lap with Caleb Williams. It's all now on a Wednesday edition of Chicago Sports Tonight.
On Fox 32 Chicago Sports, this is Chicago Sports Tonight.
Bears back to work today with 6 wins their last 7 games, tied atop the NFC North with the Lions, but still looking for their first division win this season. All right, we kick off the show heading to Hallis Hall with our very own Cassie Carlson standing by with the Athletics' Dan Weeder. Hi, everyone. Good to see you guys. I want to get into...
Good to see you, Lou.
Yeah, I'm in a good mood. We're talking about a Bears win again. All right, guys, I know you talked to Ben Johnson and some of the players today. Everyone knows that the schedule has been weak. The Cowboys, I saw the toughest opponent they have faced. Cowboys with a record of 3-5-1. That's the best record of any team the Bears have beaten. Does Ben Johnson warn his players about this? Do the players even talk about it?
I don't think that's something that he's addressed specifically to us, but just knowing that, you know, this is a team that goes to 1-0 each and every week and being process driven. I do think that they are well aware of the situation that they're in, being that they are 6-3 and the possibilities of what this season could be, given the fact that they've won enough games through the first half of the season to set themselves up on the second half of the season. But I think, as you just mentioned, the gauntlet of the schedule has yet to occur, and that really starts this week. And what Ben Johnson said today is the reality is the Bears are 0-2 in the division, and the Lions are 2-0 in the division.
I think this coaching staff has kept this locker room hyper aware of the improvements that are needed every single week with this football team. They know they have not reached their potential or a level of competition that they need to reach if they want to be a viable playoff contender into December and then obviously into January. And so what you have is a focused football team every week that understands, as you said, Cassie, that this week's game cannot be overlooked. And so I think they go into this game with a lot of focus. Lou, of the 14 teams that are currently inside the playoff picture right now, the Bears have only played one of them, and it's the Lions, who beat them by 31 points. And so there's enough reality checks around here that I think this team understands where it is and where it wants to go.
All right, good point there, Dan. I know Caleb talked today, but I first want to get into the health of the defense. I believe one of the big reasons that the Bears defense looked so poor against Cincinnati and the Giants, frankly, in my opinion, is the loss of T.J. Edwards. And I understand that Kyler Gordon's out and Jalen Johnson's out and Dio's done for the season. But having T.J. Edwards in the middle of that defense, in my opinion, is so important. Any update on Edwards, and Kyler Gordon, and Jalen Johnson as well?
Well, what Ben Johnson said today is that he saw Jalen Johnson in the weight room, and he is someone who is itching to get back on the field, and they are still expecting him to potentially return at some point late in this season, which you obviously want to get your lockdown corner back on the field. Kyler Gordon, he also said they still do not expect that to be a long stint on IR. I think the problem with Gordon now is that you have C.J. Gardner-Johnson who's come in, and he's playing at a very high level at slot corner right now. So then what do you do, given the fact that they brought in this guy mid-season who's given you a spark, especially over the last 2 games?
It's a good problem to have, right? To have 2 guys there at the same position that can give you something a little bit, to give your defense some teeth. And obviously we've seen that from C.J. Gardner-Johnson the first 2 games that he's played. I'd also keep an eye this week on Jaquan Brisker, who obviously was banged up in that game on Sunday. Ben Johnson said it was a back issue for Brisker on Sunday, and we'll have to see if that secondary can be whole. But to your point, Lou, I feel like T.J. Edwards' presence solidifies the run defense at a minimum. It seems to elevate the play of Tremaine Edmonds, and so the faster he returns, the better for this Bears defense.
It's funny to listen to you guys, and I know the coaches speak, and they don't want to give you any exact timelines. So even though Gordon, and tell me if I'm wrong, guys, he can come off of the injured list for the Pittsburgh game, correct, next week?
After the Pittsburgh game.
After, yeah.
So he'd be
He'll
ready
be going
to
in
go
for the Black Friday game.
Yeah, Black Friday.
Got it, after the Pittsburgh game. All right, round 2 against the Vikings. Bears second in the division. Vikings are 4th. How is this team different now, 11 weeks into the season?
Well, Ben Johnson feels like they've gelled a little bit more. That was going into week one where they really didn't know much about their team at that point. He said Caleb Williams is more comfortable in the scheme. You can see the offensive line has started to gel, and I think you look offensively speaking, and really it's the run game that's been able to get going, and that just opens up so much more in the passing game as well. And something that Ben Johnson pointed out, it also helps Caleb Williams just be able to evade those sacks, because he only has 2 sacks has been sacked twice over the last 2 games. And so if you have that run game going, I feel like this offense just works so much better. And so to see the run game being one of the top in the league right now, it wasn't existent week one. And so to finally get there, I think that's a huge thing going up against this Brian Flores defense, which we know likes to blitz despite not blitzing much week one against Caleb Williams in the offense.
When you go back and you start to reflect on that season opener and you see how much evolution that this offense has undergone since week one, and in the 10 weeks since, as you mentioned, Cassie, this running game has really come alive. Second in the NFL right now in total rushing yards. They're third in the league in total yards of any kind, which is crazy. Unbelievable to think about with a Chicago Bears offense. So that's notable signs of progress from this Ben Johnson-led attack, and they want to keep that going in an environment Sunday that's going to be difficult against an opponent that's going to be difficult. And I thought it was notable today to hear Ben talk about the mental fatigue that comes with trying to play a Brian Flores-led defense for an entire afternoon. We'll see how they handle that on Sunday.
Yeah, here's more on what Ben Johnson had to say about the Vikings defense and what Brian Flores does to opposing teams.
Gives you all kinds of problems. You got to be on your mess for all 60, 70 plays on offense to have a chance, and it's as mentally fatiguing as it is physically fatiguing for our guys. So quite a challenge. They do a number of things really well. We're 0-2 in the division. They're 2-0 in the division right now, and we're going up to their place, which is a very hostile environment. It'll be loud, and we got to be able to handle those elements. So really excited about the opportunity here for our team this week.
So it's pretty high praise from any head coach when they compare someone to what they experienced when they coached against Bill Belichick. And obviously Brian Flores is a Belichick disciple, so that makes sense in a lot of ways. But Ben Johnson, as you just alluded to, talked about it's not the physical fatigue, it's the mental fatigue of not knowing what flow is going to throw at you.
And try to find answers, series by series as the game evolves. And you just don't know going into the game what you're game planning for, because they morph from week to week, which Ben tries to do with his offense.
Right.
So that chess match, which was fascinating in week one, is going to be even more so here in week 11.
But you know what? I'm looking at that Vikings defense, guys. Against the run, they've struggled, have they not?
Yeah, they have, and I think that's why you look at I was a little bit taken aback that the Bears didn't run the ball as much and as frequently against the Giants. And I don't know, we would have to ask Ben Johnson about the way he thought about running this offense going into that game. I would expect them to run the ball a little bit more heading into Minnesota early on in the game, just to kind of test out that defense and then see what Brian Flores is going to throw at you, because they also went into week one, as we mentioned before, thinking that Flores was going to blitz a ton, and then they didn't. And so then you're trying to rewire your game plan in that sense too.
Yeah, and this Vikings defense is vulnerable, and they haven't been great inside the red zone. They haven't been great on third downs, and so you're going to have an opportunity to find your advantages in this football game. I think, obviously, as we've talked about ad nauseum, the running game is such a strength for the Bears, and they know they can lean on that, and that opens up the play-action game, and it creates more comfort for Caleb, and all of a sudden you get this whole offense feeling like it's got the whole field open to it, and so we'll see how they're able to handle that Sunday in a really tough environment up there in Minneapolis.
I want to go to Caleb Williams now, because to his credit, guys, he has not been sacked nearly as much as he was last year. Just 2 sacks the last 2 games, none against the Giants in that front four. That's pretty darn good. Say what you want about their run defense, that front four with Brian Burns, as I said, one of the better ones in football. Talk about Caleb's development of not allowing himself to go down, number one. Number two, throw interceptions. He's been terrific protecting the football as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, Lou, there's several elements to this, I think, with Caleb. And number one, it starts with an offensive line that you refortified over the offseason. And so now you're feeling a little bit more protected back there, which helps a lot. Now you establish a running game, and now that slows down the pass rush a little bit. And then obviously we know the gifts that Caleb has in being able to avoid sacks and to be able to get out of them and show the strength and athleticism to keep plays alive. It's truly magical to watch, and it was again Sunday against the New York Giants. And so you've got now a quarterback who's reduced his sack rate from, I think, 10.8% as a rookie down to 4.9%. I don't think any of us thought we were going to get there that quickly. That's a credit to everybody in this building, and particularly Caleb.
Yeah, and you called it magic, and Ben Johnson called him Houdini after the game on Sunday. Here's more on what Caleb had to say about being able to evade that pressure.
The whole process is like, let's get the ball out faster. Let's, get through the reads. And, sometimes I get through my reads actually too fast, maybe because of leverage or maybe because, the covers that I'm seeing. And, sometimes you just need to hang on. We got special guys. And so sometimes you need to hang on it and let it rip. And then other times, it's, there was a play that I actually avoided a sack, but I could have thrown a touchdown this past game. And, it's those small things. It's like, just the big plays right there. I saw it, and I was about to rip it, and I just saw color flash. He was running right at me, and I tried to get out of it, got out of it, and threw incompletion. But it's those things that the next level, and something that I talk about with Coach all the time is that's the next level. Is I do have this ability to get out of stuff, but also there's gonna be times where it's just gonna drop back and let's deliver a ball, and I've done it every so often or whatever, but just doing that more often and just finding the balance is tough, but that's what we're searching for.
So we obviously know that Caleb Williams has something special in his ability to do that. We saw that on the touchdown to take the lead against the Giants. One thing that Cole Kmet said after the game is they still feel like they need to get on the same page of knowing when Caleb is going to take off and when receivers need to start blocking and when they need to still continue their routes and try and get open. But I think Ben Johnson is trying to also coach that into him a little bit more too, of just hang in the pocket a little bit longer. We try to get that first target open for you as much as we can, and maybe try to play in system a little bit more. And I feel like we keep talking about it. It's still that fine balance of don't take away what makes him special in that magic, but can we get him to hang in there a little bit longer?
The way Ben emphasizes coaching points with us, you have to imagine are reinforced times 20 when he's sitting in a room with Caleb going through the film with him and pointing these things out. And to your point, I think he's been very emphatic here recently of, look, the pocket's going to get noisy at times, and you just have to resist the urge every time to spin out of there and go make a play on the move. Just stay in there, and things are going to open up for our offense if you do. And so to be able to point out specific examples, to bring Caleb along in that regard, I think is beneficial, and you've gotten every sense here over the last couple months that Caleb's all ears to what Ben's feeding him.
All right, great work, guys. Dan, we will follow you all week in The Athletic. And Cassie, I'll talk to you again tomorrow, all right? Have a great day. Up next, we go inside the mind of an NFL football player, a former NFLer. Manti from NFL Network tells us the mindset of a player as the losing culture disappears and the winning continues to build. Comes your way next here on Chicago Sports Daily. Welcome back to Chicago Sports Daily. We now welcome in from the NFL Network Good Morning Football Overtime. There he is. We carry Good Morning Football Overtime. Good to see you, Manti, former Irish NFL linebacker. Manti part of Good Morning Football. Good Morning Football on Channel 50, Fox Chicago Plus, here from 12 until 2 every day in Chicago. Manti, Bears today sit atop the NFC North with the Lions. They've needed Caleb Williams to pull off comeback victories, and they have yet to beat a team with a winning record. So, are you in on the Bears?
I'm in on the direction they're going, Lou. I think what they've been able to show the past couple of weeks is their ability to win late in games. Not only to win late in games, but to come back from large margins. And I think that says a lot about Ben Johnson and what he's been trying to work on with the Bears for the X amount of months that he's been there. And I think that's a quality that not a lot of people give them credit for, because I've been a part of teams that have found ways to lose games. And I think Bears fans are very aware of the times when that was true. I don't think that is the truth anymore with Ben Johnson and these Bears. They've showed it multiple times this year. And so I'm definitely in on that aspect of them looking the part for sure.
Manti, I'm glad you brought that up, because it's a resilient group, man. We hear that they believe that if they're still close in a game in the fourth quarter, even if they're trailing, they believe that they can still win. Can you, as a former player, appreciate that? Do you remember that in your career where you believed in your teammates that you guys were still going to come back and win?
Listen, Lou, I've been a part of both programs. I've been a part of a program where we knew that no matter what the score is, that we're going to win the game no matter what. And then I've also been on the flip side where we would lose in the fourth quarter up 21 points, and we'd find a ways to lose. So I can definitely appreciate not only the work, but the amount of attention and detail and just constant grind that it takes to reverse that mindset. It truly is a mindset, and in order for you to break that culture, it takes a lot of work from everybody's standpoint, not just Ben Johnson. So I'm very, very happy for them because it's definitely a better place to be when you're sitting on the sideline and you're looking at that clock tick down and it's in the fourth quarter and you have that confidence that you're still going to be able to pull it out.
I'll tell you what, man, I really appreciate your player's perspective. Johnson's been critical, by the way, of his play calling recently. He was this week coming off the Sunday game against the Giants. Said that there were holes in his game plan. When a coach, a head coach at that, points the finger at himself when things need to be better, do the players appreciate that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the players, we love that, right? Because I think we've all, as players, had both coaches. I think if you just think about where he comes from, where Ben Johnson comes from Detroit, from Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell has always been a thumb pointer. Now, what I say by a thumb pointer, he's just always pointing it at himself instead of an index finger. There's also coaches that uses the index finger a lot, and those usually don't bode well for the good teams in the NFL. And there's a reason why the Bears are in the situation that they're in. It's because Ben Johnson will first look at the man in the mirror first and ask, hey, what can I do to be better? How can I get my defense, my special teams, my quarterback to play better, my running game to get better? And I will say this, Lou, this Bears team is taking on the identity that I think Ben Johnson has wanted them to take on. I've seen an approach to really focusing on the run game, and that late touchdown that Caleb Williams had last week was evident of that. I mean, Brian Burns crashed on that run action because the Bears were running the ball so well for the past few weeks. And so when you have that first, I think now as Ben Johnson, you can sit back and be like, okay, the foundation is being laid now. Now I can be creative. Now I can be the guy that people have seen me run all of these trick plays. But unless he's established that run game, he couldn't do a lot. But now that they have, I think, good things are to come.
Hey, my partner on Bears Game Day Live, our pregame show, Anthony Herron, played in the league like yourself. He said the way Caleb's avoiding sacks right now, you just referenced Brian Burns, and the way he's constantly spinning away from pressure, getting out of trouble. Didn't get sacked once by that Giants front four. You can say what you want about their run defense. That front four is filled with first-round picks who can get to the quarterback. It's funny, Anthony said that defensive coordinators are worried out there. If you were still playing, would you be worried about chasing around a guy like Caleb Williams?
Yeah, it's frustrating because the truth of it, Lou, is there's no coverage that can beat an extended play. I mean, there's no DB that can stick with a receiver, Romo Dunze, DJ Moore. Like, there's no you could stick the best DB out there on these guys, and if the play goes beyond 4 seconds, good luck. Like, there's just it's impossible to stay with the receiver that long. So from a defensive standpoint, it does create a different wrinkle into the game prep that you would have to go through in order to combat somebody like Caleb Williams and his running ability.
You think this is a transition year for this Bears team, Manti? Or have they already transitioned at least through the first half of the season and now they're going to make a run for it?
Lou, I would say this, and I don't say this to get to give false hope to the Bears fans. I think they are still in transition, and that's a beautiful thing because you're still winning games. But you're still not there yet. And when I say that, I'm not saying it from a spectator's point of view. I'm just saying from what I see in Ben Johnson and what I know Dennis Allen can do from a defense. They're playing really good football. They're not at their best yet. And that's a scary thing, right? If you're the opponents that have to play a team like the Chicago Bears, they're starting to take on the identity of that city a little bit of the old school Chicago Bears where they're playing very, very physical brand of football. I think it's scary to know that they're still in that transitioning phase. And so I'm anxious to see what that product looks like when they're done in this transitioning phase. I think it'll be something that we'll all love to watch.
We all are. Last minute, is it payback time for the Bears in Minnesota this Sunday?
What's so funny is I think they have a great shot. And the reason why I say that is if we go back to week one, it's quite the opposite of what's happened the past 2 weeks. The Bears were dominating that game for 3 quarters, the first game, and then they found a way to lose it in the fourth. Well, the Bears in week 10 and week 9 are different, right? They're Bears that have come back late in games. And so I think the script will be a little different for them, knowing what they've had to go through the past couple of weeks and what they've showed all of us their abilities to do late in games.
All right, let's hope so, man. Things bunching up in that NFC North playoff picture right now. I know you're a busy man, Manti. As always, love the perspective. Thanks so much for joining us on Chicago Sports Daily.
Thanks, Lou. Appreciate it, my friend.
All right, Manti Te'o. former Notre Dame linebacker, former linebacker in the NFL as well. His perspective, great part of Good Morning Football Overtime on Fox Chicago Plus Channel 50. We'll be right back to wrap up the show after this. Welcome back to Chicago Sports Tonight Daily. Lou Canellis with you. Some moments go far beyond football. For Amy Cash, a visit to Hallis Hall wasn't about meeting her favorite team. It was about celebrating life, love, in the fight that brought her here, a journey of strength, and a moment to finally take in just how far she's come. Tina Nguyen with the story.
For Amy Cash, this moment is more than just a visit to Hallis Hall.
The whole reason of getting here is not really fun.
It's a celebration of strength and survival.
To be able to do this and experience this with my son is amazing.
After battling and defeating breast cancer, Amy was invited to spend the day with the Bears.
Coach Johnson, nice to meet you.
A team that supported her through one of the toughest chapters of her life.
June of 2024, I went into the gynecologist and they were the ones that found the lump and said I need to go get a mammogram. So in July I went, I did 3 biopsies at one time, and then got called a couple days later and was told the news. Be mad, be upset, but then get up and fight it because it's beatable. Find something or someone to fight for and to make you happy every day. Like Jackson makes me smile every day.
She's the strongest woman I know by far.
In October, I had 25 rounds of radiation, and then December, I had a revision done. So August 13th was when I got my breast cancer out.
I knew whenever she had breast cancer, I knew she was gonna beat it because that's just who she is.
This is Amy.
But the moment that left her speechless was meeting quarterback Caleb Williams.
He knew my name. It was just awesome. They were all so nice.
I made this for you.
The two shared a special connection through something Amy made herself.
We're good. That's awesome. Oh, that is awesome. We have matching jackets. I love it. We do. Yes. I love it. I love it.
After the Bears' win over the Saints, Williams proudly wore the jacket that Amy made, a small gesture that carried a powerful meaning.
This year on August 13th, I celebrated with my sister-in-law. We went and got matching tattoos, turning it from something negative into something positive. And it sucks that every reason I have to get it, but to know that I beat it.
This is amazing.
A survivor, mother, and now part of the Bears family.
What a cool moment for Amy and her son Jackson. By the way, it's a day, it's a day that they'll never forget, a moment of joy after a season of struggle. Thanks to Tina for bringing us that story. And thanks to our very own Cassie Carlson and the Athletics' Dan Weeder, plus Manti from the NFL Network for all joining us today. Big show coming up on Thursday. More from Hallis Hall with Cassie. Kevin Burkhardt, play-by-play man for Fox Sports. He's going to be calling the Bears-Vikings game with Tom Brady Sunday. He'll join us, plus the best weekend plays with our man Nick Costos. Until then, see ya.